Hello there, wonderful singers, and welcome to COVO, short for Community Vocalizing. I'm Dr. Julia Nielsen, founder of COVO, where our mission is to advance singers' vocal health, fitness, and longevity by providing creative vocal exercise routines. February is one of my very favorite months here at COVO because it is the month that we begin our annual High Notes Bootcamp, a 4-part seminar series designed to give you a clear roadmap to new or better high notes. Now, the reason that this work excites me so much and the reason that this bootcamp exists at all comes from my own long, complicated history with high notes. So this week, instead of a vocal exercise routine, I'm going to tell you the short version of my high notes history and how it relates to our upcoming High Notes Bootcamp. Because I think that my story might sound a lot like yours. I know that it is a lot like the stories of many students that I have worked with during my 25-year teaching career. So this story has 3 big chapters. Chapter 1, fear and flailing. Chapter 2, forcing and frustration. And finally, chapter 3, freedom and figuring it out. And I have selected 3 moments in time, moments that are burned into my brain that perfectly capture the essence of each chapter. So I was a serious singer even as a child. I sang in the San Francisco Girls Chorus, and it was amazing training, but I wasn't required to sing really high notes often, as I was always a second soprano. I vividly remember the first time that I had to sing a high note in public as a soloist. I was a high school student at a summer program for choral singers. We all had to sing a solo song in recital, and I was assigned Les Berceaux by the French composer Fauré. Maybe you know that song, but if you don't, in the high key, it contains a sustained climactic high G, a dotted whole note. Well, every time I got to this spot in rehearsal, I was petrified because I had no idea whether the note would come out. And if you have ever had that moment, the one where your stomach just drops because you don't know if you are about to soar or crash, I get it. Do you want to know if that high G came out in performance? I cannot remember. I totally blocked it. I think that it is some sort of trauma response. Well, fast forward a few years, I went to undergrad, grad school. I got multiple degrees in voice, and I was having professional success. As a young singer, I had figured out how to make my high notes come out. But I had a huge problem. My high notes had 2 settings, loud and louder. So here is the moment that I will never forget. I was singing Fiordiligi, that's the leading lady in Mozart's opera Così fan tutte. And the performance had gone really well, or so I was told. But on the way home, carpooling with a colleague, this was the singer who had sung the leading tenor role, I tried to make conversation, and I couldn't because I was hoarse. I really couldn't talk because I had forced my way through every single high note, and there were a lot, and my vocal cords had obviously swollen up. The tenor's voice, meanwhile, sounded fresh as a daisy, and he had sung just as many high notes as I had. So during this chapter of my singing life, I was pretty uncomfortable most of the time. Singing in the high range felt like constant effort. I remember thinking to myself that if high notes were as uncomfortable for everyone as they were for me, I couldn't believe that anyone would choose singing as a career. So if you have ever figured out how to get those high notes to come out, but they only seem to work one way, blasting, squeezing, tightening, or exhausting you, I have been there. So The final moment that I want to share with you comes from the very beginning of the third and final chapter of this story. It might even be the very first sentence of this chapter. It was the first voice lesson that I had with my current teacher, David Jones, who has been my teacher now for almost 20 years. I must have been blasting some high notes, as per usual, because he listened kindly and he said, I will never forget this, "Well, there's nothing wrong with this voice. You're healthy as a horse." And at first I took that as a reassuring compliment, but I now realize it probably wasn't. I mean, we don't really want our high notes compared to horses. You know, doves, larks, nightingales, butterflies, a gazelle, maybe if you're singing very dramatically, a lion, an eagle, but a horse? I think that what he was saying was, you're strong, but you're not in control. And then, over the next months and years, he gave me what I had been searching for my entire singing life. A set of high notes instructions, not just metaphors, not just cathedral domes and unicorn horns and place it forward and get up and over and you need to lighten up. No, he gave me a step-by-step recipe for making high notes work every single time. And once I finally understood that recipe, something changed, not just in my own singing, but in the way that I taught my own students. And that step-by-step guide, that recipe, is what I will be providing to you in High Notes Bootcamp, a 4-part seminar series where I will teach you the 5 types of vocal exercise and the 5 most important behaviors that make high notes comfortable, reliable, and strong. Each session focuses on a different piece of the high notes puzzle, so instead of guessing, you know exactly what to train, how to train it, and why it works. And here is our guarantee. During this intensive 6-week experience, we guarantee that you will achieve at least one of these 3 outcomes. Number 1, add an extra half step or more to the top of your usable vocal range. Number 2, make the highest notes that you can already sing more reliable, comfortable, and beautiful. And number 3, gain a clear roadmap, the recipe of the technical skills, vocal exercises, and practice strategies that you need to achieve number 1 and number 2. But with dedicated practice, most of our participants make progress towards all 3 outcomes. So, if you are ready to master your high notes once and for all, click the link in the description below and join us for High Notes Bootcamp. We get started on February 28, although all 4 of our live sessions are available on video replay, and I would love to have you join us. I'll see you inside, and in the meanwhile, happy singing.